In every cell of every living being is all information that can be known in the universe.
Everything is alive. Everything that is alive wants in a way also to express itself in a way, right? That's why everything has also flaws.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Voices of the One Mind, where the elixir of wisdom flows freely. Join us as we dive into the profound thoughts of extraordinary human beings who embody wisdom, offering insights that serve as a bridge to awakening. Unshackling minds from the chains of suffering, our conversations pave the way for enhanced health, enriched lives, and exponential spiritual growth. Get ready to sip on the nectar of the One Mind with us.
Welcome to another episode of the Voices of the One Mind. Today we are going to talk about what does frequency do to a human body. We have two wonderful guests here with us today, and I'm very thrilled to have them, that they accepted our invitation. We have Kees here. For almost 4 decades, Kees is very successful in the field of frequency application. His background is in the food industry and health therapy. And his partner Cornel is in a collaborative partnership with him for over 38 years. And as I understood, Cornel is taking more the role of a backstage, so to speak, guardian angel. Guardian angel literally meant that she is in frequencations. You talk also about mediumship. She's holding the space of the medium, mostly moving in the background. In their cooperation, running a very highly successful laboratory, sophisticated laboratory, each of them would not be able to do what they do without the other, as they are in a twin relationship, you might say. One could even say that together they are one, which leads us back to the one mind. So, thank you very much for accepting the invitation, and very welcome to the Voices of the One Mind. And welcome also to become the voice of the One Mind, because that is what guests are. They are the voice of the One Mind. Knowing you, and I'm sure our audience is very interested in that, my first question would be, in a practical level, how the two of you are working together. So who is doing what in your collaboration?
She's doing the organization, Cornel, and I'm doing the lectures and the lessons we give to therapists in the frequency range of working with people and working with plants.
To start off with, this very interesting conversation. Tell us what sickness, what disease really is in the first place.
In our opinion, disease is an unbalance in frequencies. So the English term dis-ease says it all. It's without ease. So we have to rebalance and make the system easy again to have the organism, the person, the animal or the plant cure itself. That's what we are aiming at.
So you're saying practically that this balance is in the field of frequency?
Yes.
Because we know everything carries frequency, a certain frequency, and if that frequency doesn't align with the original programming, so to speak, with the programming of the blueprint, then something is off. Can we understand it in that way?
Yes, it's like an orchestra having a lot of instruments, and if one is off tone, so to speak, it's false, and the whole environment is false. So if you have for instance, you bump your head against the door, it is soaring, and simply from that moment on, your head is the only thing you can think about. The rest is also in trouble. So you need to rebalance the whole system. And if something small is wrong, then the whole is wrong. So that is the way
So small cause, big effect.
Yes.
Or, yeah, because it leads to kind of a chain reaction in the whole system.
Yes. For instance, if somebody says to you, "You're a nice guy," then you say, "Okay, that feels okay." And if somebody says, "You're rotten," then you have another feeling. Your energy is changing. Your perception of the world is changing. Everything is changing because frequency is the basis of everything. Without frequency, there's no material world.
There is no material world. Exactly.
So it's all in there, and trying to work with that and trying to find out where to push a button to change things. That's what we do in therapy, that's what we do in agriculture.
What does one generically understand frequency under the term frequency and information? Information in the term of the body.
These are two separate things. There's frequency, that's the carrier wave, so to speak, and what you bring to it in many levels is the information. So if you have, for instance, in the symphony orchestra, you have an instrument filling in the background, and there's another instrument, a violin, for instance, that's do the talking. So the information of the violin is covered in information from the rest of the orchestra. And that's the same with human lives and animal lives and plants. And they all react on a combination.
How does frequency work in the body? Where does it approach? Do we understand it works on a cellular level, or where?
Yes, it's even a higher level. If you go deep down in science of reverberations of frequency in the cell, then we see the atomic level. Every mineral, every metal has its own frequency. That is an atomic number. So it is in science proven that it is like that. So if you make a composition of a few atoms, you will add it to each other. So you start with an instrument and you end up with the whole orchestra being your life and your surroundings. So it's not separate from each other. And the information, what we use in our factory is water is a carrier, for instance, of frequencies. And we add a frequency combination with a specific purpose in mind. So if we want to have more outcome, more harvest in production in the field, then we need to tell the field that it's all okay, in layman terms. That means that if you bring in the information, the plant will listen to it and they will change. That's what we see in practice.
So there is two fields that you are working on. Is this the physical level of the human body and also the agricultural level, as I understand?
Yes, we are plant-based because we eat, and when we eat potatoes, potatoes become us. So that's the changing, but we can't eat dirt. So the plant eats dirt and converts it to something we can take as a human being. So when you have a toxic-free product, then we react much better than we have a certain product with...
Very beautiful what you say, because it's the whole chain of life.
It's the whole chain
The
of
whole
life,
chain
yes.
of life. At the end, a human being is eating stone or metal.
That's right.
I mean, anyway, we eat minerals, but I'm just saying as an extreme example, the whole organisms that are in that chain are transforming over and over things that they can take and give it on to the next one. That's why I always say, like, the CO2 is the nutrition for all the plants, and the plants transform it into
the sugars.
Into into our oxygen that the human being is breathing. You were mentioning now the application, the carrier is water. Let's talk a little bit about that. What is there are many carrier vessels for frequency and for that information. there is water, we know obviously about sound, you were mentioning sugars, and there are other things. Which others are there, and which one would work better, or what can you tell us about that?
That depends on the frequency is the same. If you put it in water, then you can just get the frequency out. But just like an instrument in an orchestra, sometimes you get an A or a C, and then you have a certain sound, but you can uplift it in an octave higher or lower or even more, or play it at the same time. So the changes can be made in the fluid, carrying the frequency and telling the frequency to the plant or the other live vessels we see. Mm-hmm. So we use it on the land, we drink water, we have water-based product that can rearrange or change the frequency. Mm-hmm. And if you have the right frequency, you get health, and if you have the wrong frequency, it's all false notes, and you can't hear it. It's not nice.
So you apply it also to oil. Would you?
Yes.
Would you say that there is a carrier that's better than the other, or
it's different? Let's say water is the carrier with the most capacity possibilities. If we put the same frequency on oil, it's much lower, much more easy. If we put it on sugars, globuli, then it will carry in a different frequency band, and we do it on magnetism. So let's say a credit card size and the magnetic stripe on it is carrying the same
like a chip.
recipe, like a chip, but depending on the one is low or high or wider or deeper. So that's the difference. And that's why you choose what to use for the best option.
Okay. Obviously, in agriculture, the number one option will be water.
Yes.
And I assume that it depends also on what kind of base frequency the carrier itself has, right? Because
yes, but in a factory we change the basic frequency, the pollution. So we try to make it as clean as possible. So we have a 5-stage production process to get from clean tap water to the original carrier fluid. That's a whole process.
Okay. Because the original clean tap water is not as clean as people would think.
No, absolutely not. Because when you follow the cycle of water, it's raining down from the clouds, then it comes into the sea and on the land. And on the land it's taken up by the plant, some sunlight is added, etc. We make sugars, and then you get the conversion of all these things back to the same thing again. So you drink it, you take out the information from the frequency, your body is changing the frequency and excreting the rest. So you take out what you need. And what you need is depending on the ease or dis-ease.
Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Generically, I think commonly known, supporting a human body that is in disease with frequency is not very widely practiced still nowadays. There is obviously a growing science around it.
Yes.
Not yet. They don't apply it yet. Let's say in hospitals or in the mainstream
that's right.
services. Talking about that, how can frequency therapy support systems like human beings, a living system, to rebalance itself?
That needs some explanation, because we as a human are capable of doing things or producing things or making things, but it all starts with an idea, and that is no substance. It's an idea. So you have to convert it through action into something materializing. And that's what we are aiming at. And the point is, if you go to a doctor's office, he will prescribe a pharmaceutical drug containing also information and frequency and what we call hardware, that is the actual material stuff they can see in a microscope. So they got the whole field, and we just removed the rest and only took out the information. That's a whole process to generate a recipe, which cannot be overstated. You're not able to take too much because the body discards it. It only takes the information that's okay. Just like the old-fashioned phone book, all the phone numbers were in, but you don't call them all the time. You're only looking for one.
Very good one. I like this one. I have a phone book at home and I start to call people. By the way, I have friends who did that as a kid's joke, you know. So, call randomly people and tell them some jokes. But it's a very nice metaphoric. What can one expect in terms of benefits by applying frequency in a living system? It supports the disease, it supports the illness in order to boost it, to give some extra power to heal itself. Is that right?
It gives some information to the human system to carry out certain tasks. Louis XIV, the King of France, had a physician, I forgot his name, and this physician went in the garden every morning when sunrise, and he took some dew from the plants, and he knew the dew from the rose has a certain frequency, the dew from other plants has frequencies. So depending on what the king's mood was, he gave him some drops of the dew. The Bach remedies from the UK are just the same. They are made of plant material. And the frequency, the information is put into the substance, water and alcohol, and given to the person, which takes out the information and uplifts the mood. So that's the process. And depending on what you are aiming at is the cure of the person, but the product does not cure the person. It gives only the right information to be able to change it yourself. That's the self-healing mechanism. And that is what we are focusing on, and depending on what we want to reach, we make a certain combination or a recipe depending on, and we have recipes with many hundreds of different components in it, so it's quite complicated every now and then, but as easy as pie. Because simply pick it up. And there's a lot of written history about it, books about remedies. The basic information programming is also in homeopathy. That has been around for 250 years and still is being discussed by science as being not the right answer. But in my view, everything that works is an answer. Just only make the combinations. So frequency is the basis of everything. And we have been working for about 40 years together. And sometimes when I make a recipe, we always have the stay, if I make something, I think this is okay, then I make it, I give it to Cornel, and she feels, and she says, nah, this is not right. You need to destruct something, it must be stronger, or put in some green, for instance.
It's not finished.
Or it's not finished yet. So then I go back to the laboratory, I'll make changes in the recipe, then we test again, says okay. Then Cornel knows exactly what it's doing, because she has that medium feeling. She knows exactly what to do and what not to do. And then I make it, and then we check, is it on oil, is it on water, is it on whatever. So we do some testing, and we have very specialized equipment, designed especially for us and by us. And this equipment can make very, very strong products. So we have a high condensation of information because we treat the water and we treat the oil in specific ways.
So highly compressed and very high quality outcome.
High concentration,
High
yes.
concentration.
So that means, especially for agriculture, we shipped 40-foot containers to Africa when we were starting up there with the frequency agriculture. And nowadays we'll send a flask of half a liter, just having
with the same concentration.
Just with a little bit higher concentration.
Not with the same concentration. I wanted to say a much higher concentration with the same effect.
So we can dilute it on spot instead of transporting a lot of water. So that's the practical side. It's being nice.
Very interesting. As you mentioned this topic, I'm very much interested what you are doing in Africa. You showed me a very beautiful demonstration, like a book with images. What you do in agriculture, how you help Africa to naturally have great growing results. What exactly is it, or what would you share with us something what you're doing there?
Basically, we started with the idea. We said, cutting up the rainforests is not a nice thing. Let's try to stop it. And how to stop cutting up the rainforest is to stop buying maize and corn and soy from the area of Brazil. So if we increase the output of agriculture in the Netherlands, we don't have to import that much, so it should have a significant change. But we have the first world, that's the Western world, the second world, that is Asia, the third world is mainly Africa, and the fourth world that doesn't exist. So simply it means if you go to Wageningen, that's the university in the Netherlands, the world renowned, they believe mainly in what they can see in their microscopes and their systems. So if there is information you can't see, it doesn't exist, and that's where it stops. So you go to the farmer, and the farmer says, what am I spraying on my land if I use your products as a clean water? I don't believe that clean water will work. It's dropping from the sky, why should I buy it from you? So it is the belief system that brought us in Africa, first in Bhutan and Nepal many years ago, and later on in Africa. And the Africans say, okay, you come from the Netherlands, that's number one in the world of agriculture. If you say it will work, then it will work, so we use it. And they started. They also used artificial fertilizers, but we say, please don't. And then we have a lot of proof in thousands of farms that there is an upscale 20, 30, 40, 50 to 150% higher harvest of a better quality. And what we see happening is that the poor people, the smallholder farms, that's our goal, to help these people. And then you see if we supply our material over there, they will use it and they will have some extra income. There was a woman, she had 12 children, 8 were still at home living, and they had 3 problems 3 years in a row with their harvest. And the woman bought a little bit of our product, and she got a huge harvest, and she could sell it, and her partner didn't know that she invested her last dollars in that. And all 8 children that were still at home are going to school, and there's no hunger gap. Because that's what they had when the harvest isn't ready and the cupboard is empty. That's the hunger gap they call. So they removed the hunger gap and they brought the children to school. So it's much more than just feeding a few people.
Amazing work you're doing there. I mean, really amazing.
We love to do it.
Yeah.
We didn't earn a penny yet. It's
Yeah.
only an investment. But I can sleep at night.
Yes. That's what life is about. Also to be at service. I mean, at the end, that's what we are. After we have made a certain realization, being of service to others and help them to reduce their suffering is a very important task for each of us, right? And you are doing in this big scale, wonderful field. Coming back to the human body, if a person A takes this, like there is 2 people who have, let's say, the same disease. If a person A takes the same frequency informed water drops, the same amount per day, then the other person, are there people who are reacting differently? Is it different for every, let's say, human organism? Or I assume they also work on pets and animals. Are there huge differences, or is it
There is a little bit of an overlap, but there's also a difference because you have a person is somebody, is history, the parents, the DNA, the surrounding they grew up, the environmental loads they experience. And if they have a headache or some other disease, then you go to an aspirin that will take away the... But it also decreases, for instance, inflammation in your knee. But you don't know, you're focusing on the problem. We don't focus on the problem, we always focus on the whole energy system of the person. So if somebody is having a bad knee, for instance, then we look in the books and we say a bad knee on the right side means you are in fear. So what are you feared about? And then we talk about it or we push it, and then you feel the pain, and then you talk about the pain on that particular emotional level you found. So you talk, you give information, oh, is it that? Bop, bang gone. So it is partly, but making one product, that's the main aim of the classical homeopathy, that is they have the basic setup, everything in one product. That's what we have in our agricultural products, but in human products we have about 1,100 different recipes to cover it.
Which is a masterpiece, a work of a great alchemist, right? To be able to do that, because I know from you know, the classical homeopathy people in Germany that follow Hahnemann when he invented, they say there is no such thing. You need to test homeopathy on each and every individual, because each and every individual is different, which I can follow for a certain point. However, to master that, to say yes, there is something where there is a very huge overlapping aspect, is great work and simplifies the production and the distribution also to people.
But the homeopathy has about 15 to 18,000 products different. We only have 1,100. Only, it's quite a lot. But on the other hand, we need less because we have a more overlap and a different approach from it, because we combine it with therapy in different ways. So you take away the heavy load by using the body, because the body is a copy of your mind, of your thinking. So if you have itching in your neck and you start scratching, we just look at in the book of the acupuncture points. We have made a few books with information about what is really happening. So for instance, if I'm talking, my mouth is open. If I'm a politician and I get a question from you, what are you going to do about? And then you say, okay, that's an interesting question. So you buy some time, you put your finger on your both lips, but top and under. Don't say what you feel, because you will get in trouble. That's why we have the shh. So
very interesting.
Don't talk, because I'm opening up and you can read me, so I don't want. So they close them off. And
also
that's
the body gesture is like closing, right?
We close up, and the point is you scratch your nose, for instance. That's the spot. You're not an idiot if you change your mind. And if you have some itching here and you are trying to treat it yourself, then you say, okay, I made a wrong choice, but okay. So then it's okay, and then the itching is gone. So what we do in the courses we give, it's very short 3-day courses on therapists, how to handle these things. Very simple, plain to earth, feet on the ground. And it really works, yes.
Yeah, I've been talking to many people who are working with you, and they are very, very happy with their results. So, talking about results, there is practically, in order to encourage the body or to boost the body to heal itself, to give that ignition, to give that extra turbo, let's say. There is no limits. We are not talking about what kind of disease or whatever, or
if you die, you said, okay, I don't want to live anymore. So Then you get Parkinson's disease, you get Alzheimer's, you get dementia. That's a sign also, if you have a tumor in the brain, you are saying on the deepest level, sorry, I don't want to live anymore. And if somebody has Parkinson's disease, I spoke a guy who was 82 years old, and he had some Alzheimer and Parkinson's stuff. And I said to him when he asked, do you have something for Parkinson's? You don't want to live anymore, so why should I lengthen your life while you're not willing to put some effort into it?
Makes sense.
And he looked at me and said, you're absolutely right. Because, and then he told me his whole life story. And then he changed his story. We gave him something. And a few months later, he was not trembling anymore. He healed himself. That's the same thing. If you have something in mind and you want to discuss it, and if you have the ability to change that. We met a woman, she came on course with us, and she had liver cancer, primary liver cancer. And liver cancer is always a sign of the inside. You have some anger, which you didn't utter, so you swallowed it. And then we said, you're very angry probably. And that was right, she had a row with all her sons and daughters and family, etc., etc. But I don't believe the doctors, she said. I can't have a primary liver tumor. And then she came to us and she went to therapists and she went to the doctor, etc., etc. And then she got a second opinion. And the second opinion said, you have a tumor in the liver. And then the third doctor she went to said the same. And then she came to us and she said, I think I'm not going to make it. And then she stopped curing herself and she died. So we think that doctors cure and that therapists cure, but they don't. They rebalance the system. I met an old guy in a home. He was 82 years old and his wife died previously a few years ago, and everything got disabled and he was ending his life. And then there came a woman, she was 65 or 66, she came in the same house and it was click. And 3 months later they were married and they went on honeymoon to Bali, and he wasn't having any diseases anymore. So that's the power of the mind. And we say, oh, it's about time to die, and then we die.
Absolutely, makes completely sense. You have all these motivational coaches out there who make millions or billions around the world. And what else do? They motivate that part of the body that says, no, I don't want to become an entrepreneur. I don't want to earn much money. I don't want to become successful. And they are motivating exactly that part of, or helping the people to get rid of these thought patterns and open themselves to.
Yep. But the thought pattern is connected to an organ mainly, and is also connected to all acupressure points in the body. So if we see some of the diseases or the acupuncture points having warts or moles or whatever, then we know there's a problem. And then you push it and it is hurtful, and then you look in the books and say that's the problem, and you say, okay, without that problem I'm okay. With that problem I'm okay. And emotional freedom technique is a part of the education.
I followed that myself throughout at least the last 20-30 years. When I see, as you say, a wart or pimples or something on the outside, depending on where they are. Most acupressure points, kind of the bigger ones I know, but if I don't, I just look them up and I know, okay, you need to take care about the lungs, or you need to take care about the kidneys, or you need to take care about this. This is like little signs. And before it comes to pain. That's also, again, the first step of self-healing, to even self-know and realize what is it where you should look at.
When we do the course of 3 days and we have some 6 or 7 workshops where you can advance your knowledge, that's what we try to learn in people. Just open your eyes, see what's going on, or get a pendulum to get out the information. If you pinpoint it exactly, you go to the spot in the body where the pain is, because pain is a certain level of information. It all starts with itching. If you have a small child going to school for the first time, they're 4 years old, they go in there, and they say, I got tummy ache. That's where it is. That's your brain, your emotional brain.
Emotional brain.
So when you push and say, that's painful, then we say, okay, that is because, and then we call the point you're pressing. Then a dime is put into the system and it's gone on the spot. Directly, and they can do it themselves very often. That's what we teach.
I like the English expression of pain. You know what pain means?
I know pain from personal experience.
Yeah, no, but what the PAIN means, pay attention inside now.
All right.
Right?
That's the point.
That's the point. That says it all. Pain, pay attention inside now.
But
Believe it.
But connecting to that, it means that pain is not coming instantly, pain is a phase. So it starts with itching. For instance, something is happening, you scratch it over here because it's itching. If you don't do anything, it will be pain. And if you don't do anything because you take in aspirin, then the pain will start making a mole or a cyst or a tumor, and basically in a few steps you get cancer and you die. That's the growth. So as soon as a tummy is hurting with a small child and you do some simple massage as a mother with a little bit of oil, with the right information, and then it eases up and that's no problem.
I want to share a little life story of mine that happened to me in my mid-30s. I was buying myself a brand new beautiful dark blue jeans. And I was sitting in the office and I brought it. It was quite expensive. It was from a boutique, and a few days later I realized that there is a white spot on it, and I thought, this cannot be. How can there be a white spot on a brand new jeans? And it was expensive, you know, because I washed it. And so I took the jeans, brought it back to the boutique, and said, look what quality you gave. After one washing, it makes a white spot here. And they say, oh, sorry, we take it back, we give you a new one. They took it back, gave me a new one. Guess what happened 2 weeks later? Same thing, a white spot. I went again there and told them, and they said they have no idea, you know, they have no idea why. There must be whatever. They could not have an idea how that happened. They really gave me a third one. I went back to the office and I saw again after a few weeks, and what I realized all of a sudden, it came to me, why am I always black behind the fingernails in the office where you don't touch anything, right? And all of a sudden I started consciously to observe, and while I was working and while I was on the phone, I was scratching myself all the time under the table. The whole time. Oh my God, I was so embarrassed that I went back to this boutique asking for a jean 3 times when I did it myself. So I found an acupuncturist, and he said to me, I will never forget it. He said, you're itching here. I took that jean so that I could show him exactly where the point was. The man is worrying. What are you worrying about? What are you busy with in your mind? You know. And, you know, he did some acupuncture on me and was going into it, and then it was gone and never came up again. But that's when you say everything starts with itching. I will never forget my story with that blue jeans that was exchanged for 3 times. Yeah, fantastic. I've got a tricky question. I don't know what and how much you would like to answer or share, or maybe nothing. How do you apply that frequency on the different carriers? Where do you extract, or it's kind of a good cook will never give out his recipe, and it's not about getting the recipe. It's just for the audience to have a generic understanding how frequency is applied to a carrier.
There are a lot of ways to apply frequencies, and the first one is acknowledging that you're scratching your own knee. That simply means without knowing, you are curing yourself. What we try to do is get the background information, get the frequency of the fear theme or the worry theme, put it into a system, make a recipe of it, put it into the company in a factory and produce it. You can produce it by focusing on it. That's what people very often do. But as soon as you got a different idea and you are working on it. As an example, I had 2 cups with product. This one is the test, and this one is what I'm going to program with my intention. That was many years ago. So I take this cup, I bring my intention in the cup, and then I feel it's okay, now it's in there. The other one was the control. And I took the 2 samples in the car and I said to Cornel, please try to find out which one is okay. This one is treated, I put a number on it, and this one is untreated. And then she said, I'm getting some pressure on my heart area, on my chest. And this one said, oh, this feels perfect. So what it meant, I touched my sample, I brought in the frequencies of my disease at that particular moment, and Cornel could feel it. And the one that's only picking up intention was the one that was the real problem, because it was on the mind without the troubles of the body put into the beaker. So what we now have is a quite complicated system, which I can't go into details, but it basically is quantum mechanics, some things of it. And it can be produced in a steady quality, day in, day out, by other people. Because if you work with only the intention, then you have the problem that it's a different one every day and it's not the right stuff. But basically,
You learned a lot of that
yeah.
case.
Yeah, then you know what to do and what not to do. So that's why we changed the water. When we got tap water, we applied some machinery we had built specially for us to format. Let's say in the computer terms, format a C, and then there's nothing on it, and then we project with equipment which is stable, steady, and working on free energy. So it's
because I have heard people saying, when you talk about generically things with freedom, like there is aura sprays and all these kind of things that all work on that frequency based. No, I don't want that, because I don't know who produced it and what kind of energy also they brought into it. So it's also important that it's kind of a neutral free product, and not like, as you just said with your example, that the disease or the dis-ease of the producer itself, that I don't think that there is.
Yes, but sometimes they exaggerate a little. Because when you say, I only need what's okay, but when you start up your smartphone and trying to look for Wi-Fi, when you're in a flat, you get 50, 60 Wi-Fis, and you don't know that it's in the system itself.
And it's in your coffee and in your tea and,
right.
and in your cheese and in your salad. It's everywhere.
So if you drink your coffee, it's noise. But if we have to produce high frequency, very strong stuff that surpasses the coffee. So we have the coffee is okay because it's universal, and then we add what you need, and that is especially
and
for you.
the human being, by being divine perfect being, remembering itself what it is and staying on the frequency level that is the most high, in order to be also, let's say, it would be eventually a goal to be untouchable from all these things.
That's right, but if you want to be untouchable, you have a belief system that you're okay. Because when you think you're not okay, you're not okay. So if you think I'm okay, you're okay. So that's what you try to move in and to make people aware of. You're the one
That
that's doing the
determine
job.
or decide whether you're okay or not.
So
Exactly.
we need something, and we deliver a product that is pure water, carrying information they can't see. Even with the best equipment in the world, you can't see, but in few steps you can make it visible. You probably heard of Masaru Emoto.
Yes, yes,
a Japanese
absolutely.
professor.
Yes, yes.
So he says, okay, I'm putting something in, I'm freezing it, then I'm slicing it a little bit, and I make photographs of the structure of the ice. Then you see. I saw some pictures that a person took a cup of clean water. He got the plant in it, top down, so the flower was in the water, and after half an hour they took the plant out. They didn't cut it. They brought the water into the system, they froze the water, and they were looking what is the structure of the ice coming out, and that was the exact flower that was in there.
Amazing. So,
So
like a photocopy.
It's a photocopy in ice.
Yeah.
But it simply means that, so the information from the plant went to the substance, and you freeze the substance, they can take it. There are many different methods. Masaru Emoto is freezing the stuff. There is also a material where they put some filter paper into the product you want to have. Then you put it into silver nitrate. You develop it, as a matter of fact, and you get an image in the filter paper of the real life pattern of that particular product.
Yeah, Masaru Emoto did some amazing work. I saw experiments with rice water.
Yep.
I saw the experiments with playing Mozart and Beethoven.
Sure.
And then on the other side playing heavy metal music, and you saw or I love you.
Yeah, sure.
I'm in gratitude, and I hate you. These kind of tests, and these kind of tests. I mean, they should be mind awakening for all parents, you know, because if the human body is 80 to 90%, the brain even 85 to 90% water. Imagine what happens if a parent shouts with the child and instead of loving the child. This is stored in the water. This is stored in every cell, in everything, and this is so detrimental for our young generation.
Yeah, fear and anger are the both most potent weapons we have. That's what also in the misinformation today is used to get people into fear, so they stop doing bold things. And if they are doing bold things, the journalists are turning the other way around, and they don't want to see it. But that is the energy.
The energy, yeah.
And it goes deeper.
You mentioned already earlier, what would you say is the fundamental difference between frequency information therapy and application and what we would call the classical scientific approach?
If you start with the scientific approach, the classical, it is doctors using materials and prescribing it. And thousands of years ago, they used plant material. Every indigenous people do have their own knowledge. The shamans are learning it person to person without any writing, so they get the knowledge. But when you look in the Chinese stuff, and you look in the Siberian stuff, and you look in the local stuff in the Netherlands, it's all the same. But then there came an industry that said, okay, let's make it simple and easy to swallow, and we grow the right plants in the right places. So the monks came and they had their gardens at the monastery where they grew herbs.
Their tinctures, yeah.
And they made tinctures of it. So they industrialized it, as a matter of fact, and then later on it became an industry, and the industry is not using the original plant, but they scooped all over the world for working plants. They try to find out what's the material doing the job. Then they get it out, and they ask for a patent, and that's why they can ask very high prices for the things that have been used for thousands of years.
Okay.
So salicylic acid is from the bark of the willow tree. For instance, we had willow trees for ages. So that simply means that there's something of a headache or a constriction in blood vessels.
Okay. All right. Now, coming from a deeper understanding and switching from a deeper understanding, What are you doing in your daily life? What is your daily task? What are you doing in your laboratory?
He's an alchemist.
He's an alchemist, okay.
Yes, so I do a lot of stupid things in the eyes of some people, and I'm just looking what is going on. A lot of things. One day I woke up in the middle of the night. I saw a machine, and a voice said, "It needs to be called my uncle's oil." Okay, stupid. So I turned over and slept again, and I was awake half an hour later. Same dream, same name. So I think, I scribbled it down, and I had a recipe, and I went to the laboratory. Months later, I didn't have any urgency, and later on, I made a recipe. It is on oil. There's silver in it. There's gold in it. There's stuff in alchemic stuff, and I made an oil, and we didn't know what, but I made something. Please feel what it really does for you. And it seems to regenerate things in life. So when you have what I gave as example, the small plant in water, frozen, and you saw in the ice crystals, you saw the plant in picture. That's what we did here. We added some stuff and it regenerates. So when there's somebody who had an operation, for instance, a cesarean section, then they cut through the meridians. So they stop suddenly, and then the legs of the woman are cold, and they're cold buttocks, etc., because the heating is off, because the cable, the wire is broken. So what we do some oil over it, where the meridian is going, only once or twice. And then it is restored. So they say, hey, my knee is getting warm after 20 years after the cesarean section. So when we have operation wounds that are healed, and you can see the scar.
The scar, yeah.
When you see the scar, then you put some oil on it, my uncle's oil, and you do that, let's say, for 2 or 3 weeks. Then it will be restored and it will be gone. Because in every cell of every living being is all information that can be known in the universe. So we only...
Can you repeat that, please, one more time? It's too beautiful, just repeat it.
I lost it.
In every cell, I will repeat it.
In every cell of the body is all the knowledge of the whole universe.
Okay. Beautiful.
So we need a lot of keys on a keyboard, so we have 1100 keys to reproduce it. We had some checks in practice that when the modern science is changing the DNA of a plant, for instance, we do not advise to use our product for agriculture because it can take away the change and will have a real problem in the field, no harvest. So that's why we say be careful. But we can, because we apply and make a connection, that is the quantum entanglement from the quantum physics. The quantum entanglement simply says, if I have a substance or a person or a stone or gemstone, whatever, which is connected to, in a certain moment, 5 million years ago, and they will be taken out. If something is happening here, at the same instant is happening here. So the speed of light, as Einstein was talking about, is not the maximum speed, because in quantum entanglement it can be thousands of light years away or millions of light years away. If it moves up, it moves up
here.
If it moves down, it moves down. So the original Big Bang, for instance, that's a theory of science, which is a little bit so-so. We don't know exactly.
So-so to say the least.
The system, they say, is working, but in every cell is all the information, so it is be highly condensed, so it is also in you. When you are a child of your father and mother, the energy of father and the energy of mother on the mind, that is also going with you. So if you have angry parents, you get a liver disease, because you don't get a liver disease because it's in the DNA. That's only something we write down, but it's in the emotion, it's in the energy. So that's why people coming from abroad, being a migrant in our system, they come from, let's say, Africa, really hot stuff, they come here and it's quite cold. If we have migrants coming from high up in the mountains with heavy rock where they live on, they come with the hardness of the rock in their system. In the Netherlands, and we have some clay and some loose sands, so that doesn't match up. So they are very unhappy, as well as our side, we are very unhappy. So when we use in agriculture a product that increases the living standards for the first time in 500 years in Africa, then they are very happy at their own home instead of being here in the Netherlands or what other country, where they try to find the things they can't find at home. But we learn a lot from them because they are much more wise than we are. They're close to Mother Nature. They know what hunger is. They know how much it takes.
They are still able to talk to the elements and listen to the elements, listen to the wind, listen to the earth, listen to water.
Right, that's a shamanistic approach. There was a tribe in South America where the shaman, they were living in the desert, where the shaman every morning when the sun was rising was chanting in the field of corn, and he sang the corn to fruition. So when it was time to harvest, then he had some time to rest. There was no water and it still grew. It grew in this small amount of dew. Navoti Indians with it. So that's what we do. And we have a cursing farmer sitting on a tractor because he can't pay his mortgage, then his harvest is not being the best because the curse is integrated.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I have thousands of examples. My practical examples, I have my difficulty sometimes with technical machines. When I still was an entrepreneur, I had an office full of people, and people are, my computer is not working, like this, you know. And I said, yeah, of course. I mean, just imagine it would be, for a moment, imagine it would be a being, a person. If you shout at that person shouts back to you. So love it, and then, you know, the frequency. People give names to their cars, you know, and if they do so and say, yeah, you're good, and it's not that these obviously, let's say, these machines have a soul, but they have a certain frequency that
and
they put out.
They need some respect.
They need some respect, exactly.
But everything you see is alive.
Is alive, absolutely.
Everything.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a car previously. I had my own company as well by then. I've been driving that car for, I think, 6 or 7 years without going to the garage, only adding some oil every now and then and doing nothing for the rest. So it took me 650,000 kilometers every time. And then I, on the dashboard every morning, said, okay, lady, let's have a nice trip today. Please carry me home again. And she did. And when I became a little bit richer than I was, I brought it to a garage, and the mechanic asked, is that and that changed in the car? I said, I don't know. I had this car for 350,000. I never changed that. And he said, that needs to be done every 60,000. So I went 5 times over. Didn't have any problem. But
wonderful, beautiful. How can people in need make use of treatments?
Depending on what the problems are, because some problems are too far away. It starts with an itching and it ends with cancer. So where are you in the whole system? And if you have a partner, say you need to go to a therapist or you need to go to a doctor, say I don't want to. No, you have to because I want to. So when you are not willing, it won't work. And if you don't believe in the pills of the doctor, they don't work. My mother, she was working in a pharmacy, making products, let's say in 1940, those periods. Then the doctor said to her, you have to make red pills for Mrs. X because she always wants red pills, blue doesn't work. And she got a calcium pill with a red coating and she was very happy, so working perfect. But she made it work because her belief system said, you're getting cured, the pain is gone. So when we tell in words, that's the same thing. We tell in water to a plant that it's okay. So we had some weed tests in the fields, because when weed is going too high, the farmer is spraying chemicals to kill it off because they don't want that. And we have made a system, water-based of course, and we spray it on the land and we tell to the soil, you're in balance, it's absolutely perfect. So all the seeds that are in the square meter say, okay, it's okay, I don't have to grow because my task is increasing magnesium or increasing calcium or increasing whatever. And if I'm not needed, it's okay. So we tell the soil it's okay. So there's no weed growing. But the system had a little bit of flaw.
Of course, of course. Every, as you say, everything is alive. Everything that is alive wants in a way also to express itself in a way, right? That's why everything has also flaws.
Yep.
Yeah. Beautiful conversation. How can people make use of your therapy? I know you work with therapists.
Yeah, we educate them, we do train them for
already 25 years.
25 years, yes.
So they can go through therapists and
we have therapists in the Netherlands and some in other parts of the world, but very little. We have been working regionally.
Okay.
But now we are expanding to Austria, Liechtenstein, Switzerland, etc. So slowly it's moving. We have one in Bulgaria, one in Curacao.
Okay, thank you very much for this very, very beautiful conversation. Thank you very much for enlightening us about frequency therapy. It was very beautiful to have you here. Thank you for following the invitation, and also to our audience, enjoy the rest of your day or evening wherever you are following us in the world.
It is very nice to be here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey with another voice of the One Mind. We thank you for your support, and to ensure that you never miss a drop of this wisdom nectar, click subscribe and stay connected with us on theonemind.org. Until next time, may your path be illuminated with profound insights and growth.